Now that we've got that whole Fast and Furious thing off our chest, it's time to obsess about Daredevil, fangirls and fanboys. It's episode 59 of Electric Fancave and ElectricFeast.com, and have we got a show for you. Mack's back to talk about the new Netflix show you most likely binge-watched over the weekend, and what other Marvel properties they're cooking up. We're going to talk about the new Ant-Man trailer, why the Avengers cast is terrible at game shows, the mysterious new USA show Mr. Robot, and in the Chris Pratt corner, Star-Lord becomes an Iron Man.
I like that. That was good. That was pretty good.
I felt sort of clever. I'm not gonna lie.
You've been very clever. You're very clever.
I know, but we always comment on it because it's like it's like, oh, look what you did. I'm like,
does that ruin it?
It's probably.
I really want to, but I want to bring attention to it so that people understand.
No, I feel good. Keep it coming. I need that affirmation. I'm just saying.
Validate me.
Validate me, please. It's all I need in the world. How's it going there, laddie?
It's good. It's Wednesday, and everything seems to have waited until today to happen in life. So it's a little crazy here in my personal world. But I have my Thomas Jefferson Pez dispenser, so that's keeping me company.
So everything's coming up, laddie.
So it gives me some good sugar boost during the day.
I don't know what I'm used to Pez dispensers and everything, but I guess usually not of people. And so there was something sort of creepy about you popping open his head and eating out of it just now.
Well, and it's great because my friend got me the first 5 presidents.
Nice.
Set. And so apparently there's a presidential set. Get it? And so they come in sets of 5. So you can, a while ago she had sent me a picture and then I didn't see it right away. And so she was joking that she was going to get me. And it was Chester Garfield or something. Yeah, it was Chester. I don't remember who it was. Not Chester Garfield.
Chester Arthur? James Garfield?
It was, sorry. Thank you. As I said,
it's
I'm
Wednesday.
It's Wednesday. Anyway, so there's just these random ones, and she was and I was oh my, actually I don't think Garfield was even in there. I think it was just Chester Arthur. Anyway, and she was well, they were it's the random middle presidents that didn't really do anything substantial, or that you know
Hold
about.
Hold on that.
I'm sorry. No, that's why I said Garfield wasn't in
okay.
there.
Okay.
And I said I don't think Garfield was in it.
Okay.
I'm just saying it's the names that you forget they were presidents because they were president for a month or 4 days or whatever, or they didn't really do anything notable.
Into a set. Here's the ones you don't super care about.
They do them all. They're in chronological order. So it's I had George Washington, John Adams, Jefferson, Madison, and then whatever's the other one. The other James. John Adams, Jefferson. I don't. Nope. I have to look. Monroe. Hello. I'm they all James and Thomas. They all have the same name for crying out loud. If they all had names like Chester, then we would remember them.
That's true, except you would call him Chester Garfield.
Except I called him Chester Garfield. Okay, you know what? Anyway, so this is a lame story. I'm eating Pez out of Jefferson's head. That's what's happening.
That's life today. There it is.
It's my life.
I don't have anything more interesting than that going on.
We are super boring.
We're super boring. I'm so sorry. No, I mean it's
I had a Lord of the Rings marathon on Saturday. My friends and I watched all 3 Lord of the Rings extended versions from 9 a.m. to about 9 p.m. And then afterwards, my friend has one of the long Hobbit pipes, those long curvy ones. Yeah. And he brought that over and we smoked pipe and drank bourbon in the backyard after.
Wow.
So I was I think we're pretty cool.
It's not my kind of day, but I appreciate that you did it.
My friend had never seen it, and so we were watching it for her.
That's a lot all at once.
It was a lot. She really actually enjoyed it, which I was a little bit surprised. I'm she's going to hate this when we're done. But it was fun because my friend Jill's seen all she has the extended version, so it's her favorite, so she knows all the commentaries. And so it's watching it with her is watching it with the commentary on. She's oh, here comes Peter Jackson's cameo. Oh, did you know in this? And she has all these facts that she knows. And my other friend is actual nerdy about the worlds, So she's oh, well, there's actually this great backstory. And I'm okay, nerd alert.
When you're the least nerdy in the room, there's something very strange happening.
I was going to say, there's a problem if I'm the one that's okay, know? You guys are super dorky. And I'm hosting it and making pancakes for these people, so I don't know what that says about me. But anyway, so it was really fun. But yeah, super dorky and nerdy. But
excellent. Anyway. Yeah. Well,
there's that.
I just was about to say dirty and norky. These are not words. Oh boy, nerdy and dorky. is what we do here. So we'll
It
continue
is what we do here.
to nerd and dork appropriately. This week there's this TV trailer, commercial, I guess.
Commercial?
Ish. For it's this show on USA called Mr. Nobody. I mean, not Mr. Nobody.
No,
Mr.
Robot. Like, oh gosh, what show are we talking about now?
Mr. Nobody is that movie with Jared Leto. Not what I'm talking about.
Okay, not talking
Mr.
about
Robot. And I immediately, I saw this and I was like, what? So this commercial is sort of like, a voice talking over like people moving around. There's a couple commercials, but it's really vague. And then it says like, whoismrrobot.com. And if you go to whoismrrobot.com, it does one of those things where it gives you like those prompts like you used to use like DOS and all that kind of stuff. And so it's like,
ooh, that's fun.
Code and whatnot. And then it's
I'm like, follow the white rabbit.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, do you want to know a secret? Y or N?
No,
yes?
I know. I wouldn't want to do that. That's how serial killer movies start.
This is true. I mean, it's all a ploy to get you on like a mailing list or something, essentially.
Oh, I'm sure.
But it's like you put in your email and whatnot, and then it's like, we'll be in touch. And I'm like,
it's ominous.
And then like I like tried like putting in random commands and stuff like that, but it just kept going like, we'll be in touch, we'll be in touch, we'll be in touch, we'll be in touch, and then it's like more and more of them across the screen. I was like,
dude, it's like that movie that's coming out. My cousin works at AMC Movie Talk.
mm-hmm.
And she was saying that this movie people sent like packages to like movie reviewers, but it was like full of stuff that they like. Like it was this like, and it was all part of this like creepy. And it was for The Gift, that movie, that creepy movie with Jason Bateman. And they sent all these movie reviewers like, yeah,
that's
like
awesome and terrifying.
And they like everybody in the office was like, so at first they didn't know that's what it was for, and they're like, who's this person that sent you this? And it was like so weird, and they were like, oh my gosh, and everybody was all creeped out because it was all like really this is great, like specific stuff or something like that.
On Parks and Rec too, where the drones.
It did, the drones
really
dropped off, and Ron was like, he's like, I shot this out of the sky, and you're like, of course you did.
Yeah,
but anyway, great. So and they were like, and she goes like, the movie trailer didn't look that great. I'm like, oh, it looks kind of scary. And she was like, but she was like, but A+ for their marketing guy, because our whole office was like, should we open it? Should we not open it? Like, are they watching us right now?
Yeah. Oh man, that's great. I love that. I love these interesting sort of mysterious marketing campaigns. So there was like that Tinder one for Ex Machina. There's that for The Gift. And then there's this for this TV show / movie, I guess, because apparently it premiered like as a film at South by Southwest. And
that's why I was confused, because it had those little like, the Eve things. I'm like, so is it a movie or is it not? It was on USA, and they don't usually do like
So this is an interesting sort of step for USA too, to like essentially it seems like they bought the distribution rights to a movie that won the Audience Choice Award at South by Southwest.
From the network that brought you Psych and Sirens comes a new exciting film.
It's a perfect fit.
It totally works.
Yeah, but what's really exciting, and I think why obviously I sent it to Kristin in the first place, aside from the great marketing, was that it has Rami Malek from the Pacific.
Crazy eyes.
Crazy eyes. I was just like, I was YouTubing several like videos of him just, because. And I was like, for one thing, there's some really funny videos from the war at home that are on YouTube that are worth watching. But like the thing is, it's like the way he talks and his eyes, and like there's just something about him that's like incredibly creepy, but like he's also really good looking. But he's just like he's just an unsettling kind of person, and so it makes it so he can play these roles that are like very weird but endearing in odd ways at the same time.
Yeah. See, I'm giving him he gives me like a John Malkovich vibe. It's like there's something about
I would never call him handsome, but yeah.
No, but I'm saying of like with like the crazy eyes and like just a tinge of like, I don't think I would want to be alone in a room with this person.
Exactly. No, that's totally what he does.
I mean, he definitely does. I mean, obviously, Malek has that skin of, like, an angel. I don't know what it is. It's, like, beautiful and...
glowy. This is why he is What is he?
Young, and he like can look through you but at you at the same time.
Yeah.
Even though I've only seen him on the screen, but I'm like, I feel like he can see me. I don't know how to hide. I was like, is this camera on? Oh my God.
Seriously. So I love him, and so I'm excited about this. It also has Christian Slater and other people, I'm sure.
I didn't see anybody else but him in the commercial that I saw. Yeah, I didn't watch the actual link you sent me. I was just like, oh, I saw that today. And I was like, what the F is happening
right now?
There's
I think there's 2 or 3 commercials, because I was watching, I don't know why I was watching USA in the first place, but I was watching something on it, and I kept
I was watching NCIS at the house I'm house sitting. It's been glorious.
Definitely not what I was watching. It's probably Sirens would be my guess.
Rude.
Or there was some movie on that I was watching, but regardless, it came on, and there
was probably Fast Five or Fast
Fast Five. By the way, I almost texted you the other day, the day after we recorded our podcast, because it was Fast Five was on 3 times that day. I was like, this is what I'm talking about. But I would say it just, so we don't forget too, speaking of the Pacific, you guys, next week is the week.
You guys, it's come 0 hours. 0 Martin McCann is going to be here next week. And so we're super excited. I don't know how excited he is, but he's going to be.
We're going to super enthusiastic about it.
I think he is. I think he's excited because we're excited is probably how it's going to go down. So you guys are not yours. Like everything else that happens to us. But you guys are, seriously, you're not going to want to miss it. This is going to be, it's going to be so fun. If only you guys could have listened in on the phone conversation of, how incredibly charming this man is.
And you've probably seen him in things and don't realize it. So watch some things. Totally. Go YouTube
you get a chance,
Netflix it.
Yeah. If you get a chance to see 71 in the next week, go watch that. It's amazing. You can catch Boogaloo and Graham. I think you can find those online still. It was one of the Oscar-nominated shorts. Catch that, because it is and we're definitely going to talk to him about it. So you guys are going to want to be in on that conversation, because it was probably the
recommend all the time.
Yeah,
anyway. So,
obviously.
And if you have anything you want to ask him about his movies, his life, Northern Ireland, things like that, do let us know, and we will relay those things. So we're looking forward to this. It's going to be a good
You're really looking. I'm a weird mix of so looking forward to it, but so scared out of my freaking mind. And I'm where I was I'm gonna call him again on Monday to remind him. She's like, that's a good idea. I'm like, okay.
I've committed. What did I do?
Now I've committed again. Once again, I've said something I'm gonna do.
Yep. That's how I get you. All right.
Man.
Anyways, the rest of basically everything. I didn't realize this until we sort of compiled and looked at it, but everything we're talking about today is basically Marvel related. So
they've been on a hot streak. Those guys, man.
They have. They know what they're doing. Summer is coming up. It's around the corner.
May 1st will be here so soon.
I know. I can't believe it. So there's a lot happening. They're releasing a lot. Things are going on. Obviously, in a little bit, we'll have Mack here to talk to us about Daredevil. It's a good, fun conversation as well. So make sure that you keep listening. And also, I will post later on the Fancave page a little highlight reel Mack for those of you who can't get enough of the man.
We certainly can't. We love that guy.
We certainly can't. We love that Mack. So the Avengers cast.
Okay, are so wonderful. Because I follow Robert Downey Jr. on Twitter.
Smart.
I know. Of the 3 people I follow, he's one of them. I unfollow people more than I follow people. That's my life. Weird social. But he's been posting really great pictures all week of him in the cast, just doing amazing fun things. And then, of course, there's this Jimmy Kimmel amazingness. So they did Jimmy Kimmel decided to play Family Feud with the cast of the Avengers. So it's Jeremy Renner, Scarlett Johansson, Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth, Robert Downey Jr., and Mark Ruffalo. And Jimmy Kimmel is probably the worst host. He didn't even know what the score was. He doesn't know the rules.
He's nobody gets any points. Is that how this works?
He's basically as good as the Steve Harvey version, the Kenan and Thompson version of Steve Harvey on the SNL.
Right. You need to answer that.
Still, no, what? No, she's not. I don't know who that is.
Okay.
So anyway, he's really hilarious, and the team's could not be more terrible at this game, I don't think. And I always wonder, like, it must just be nerve-wracking, because some of their answers, I'm like, that was what you thought was going to be the top one? Like,
well, it's also, like, age contingent, too. Like, Mark Ruffalo's were all kind of, like, old manish hipsters.
He's just so wonderfully endearing, I can't handle it.
Yeah, this is a guy who, like, sits at home and reads and does crossword puzzles, like...
Oh my gosh, he was just too cute.
Yeah.
They were all just really funny and just goofing around, and it just seems like they have like a good time together, you know, which I feel like is great about a big ensemble cast. You always hope they actually are friends in real life.
Yeah.
Like I actually just heard that Blake Lively made the three, you know, America Ferrera and Amber Tamblyn and Alexis Bledel, like godmothers, and I'm like,
aww.
See, they're all friends.
They are the sisterhood of the traveling.
They are the sisterhood of the traveling pants.
They like get together and stuff. Like they hang. They go on
totally
like vacations and stuff together.
They totally do, and so I love that. And so this is just kind of a similar thing where you got this vibe of like they just like hanging out, and of course they've probably been loopy from all of the press tour and stuff. So I think that probably had something to do with it.
Yeah. But yeah, so they attempt to play Family Feud on this and are just, like, terrible at it. And they don't, like, that's the great thing is, like, Jimmy Kimmel cannot, like, seem to convey to them what rules he does understand. So it's like, this is an individual round. You're not supposed to consult. They're like, hold on, we're consulting.
Yeah.
Like, and then yet, even when
just
they
picks
consult,
one of the random answers,
they something weird. It was just, and, like, Chris Hemsworth is, like, bringing his A game on this. He's just being absolutely ridiculous.
He's like, I'm going to say these things, but that's not the answer I want, or whatever. Or was that him or Scarlett?
I gave all my answers to them. Like,
yeah, I give them all my answers. And they're like, exactly, you weren't supposed to share your answers.
And he's got that accent, and he's great.
He's so tall.
Yeah, as I say, they put him on a team with Scarlett Johansson, who's miniature.
And Robert Downey Jr., who's not tall either.
Not tall, but she's just, like, particularly small. And so this is super worth watching. I definitely recommend checking this out. Because you're just going to smile. Yeah, it's just a fun little break for your day. And it's short, too. It's like 6 minutes or something. Yeah. It's great. And relatedly, in terms of, like, late night show things you should watch if you want to smile, James Corden is always, like, nailing it, but
he's killing it, you guys.
Oh my gosh. Well, for one thing, last night he had Ducky from Pretty in Pink, yeah, is that what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, Pretty in Pink. He did the dance with him to try a little tenderness, which is amazing. But the real must-see is he does this carpool karaoke thing. He did it with Mariah Carey, and it was very funny, but he had Jennifer Hudson on it this week. She is so funny. When she was singing his order at the drive-thru, I thought I was going to pee. And then when they found her star on the side of the... She's just like... She's like, wait, let me get in it. I'm like, you're laying on the dirty LA sidewalk right now. Stop. Oh my gosh. Great. And she would just be like, sitting there, and then she would like look out the window and like sing at people. And then they would like keep going, and she's just like, whatever. Like, I'm like, you're amazing. Yeah, she is so much fun. I want to hang out with her, and B, want to see a late night show that she hosts because she's so quick and so funny and like no inhibitions. She just says and she just goes what she feels like doing. She went for it, and it was wonderful. So you should also look that up. I'll post it on the blog. Yeah, James Corden has this weird knack for pulling out the ridiculous in people and like making them feel comfortable because he's making a fool of himself. Because he was attempting to hit some of those notes, and she just kept looking at him like, you know. But I feel like it gives his guests the freedom to be just as crazy as he is. So he's doing a great job and is so charming and wonderful. He's a delight. The show's a delight, and it's so different from anything else that's on late night. Yeah, he does such like weird, crazy, unique things, like, you know, knocking on people's doors until he finds one that lets him host the show in their house, you know. Which also had the moment, did you see that one? Yes. And when they play hide and seek, and the homeowner is like hiding in the other room, and he's like, I can't believe you couldn't find me. I was like, this guy is like, he's like a human version of like a mole in a cartoon, you know? Like, he's just like, dopey-do, and he's like, do great. Whatever, like, come hang out at my house, man. Like, album. He was pretty good, but so anyway. Great. So, yeah, that's the tangent. Yeah. Those are all things he was like, we'll post on the blog. Should we go into the Chris Pratt corner? It's been a while. Let's take a journey. Chris
Chris Pratt. Love this guy.
Hey, guy.
Hey.
Why don't you tell us about him?
Oh, Chris Pratt, you guys, is just so wonderful. So we always remember, and this is, I think, what's so great about it, is he went from being kind of like, Andy. He was Andy Dwyer for a long time.
Yep.
And then, he made the transformation to Star-Lord, and everyone's like, oh, Chris Pratt, but he still seemed kind of like an everyday man. So recently, over the last weekend, he went and did an Iron Man, which I think is insane even for any person to do.
The idea of, his time at this triathlon was, 7 hours and 48 minutes or something like that. The idea of working out for 8 hours straight is my literal nightmare. That is the worst thing I can imagine. I think Corey and I already talked about that. If it was our job to just only be in shape and work out, we would quit. We would not because that sounds terrible. Yeah. But he did it, and it was so great. And he's and once again, he's trying to post on Twitter, and it was so cute, or Facebook, and he's like, I keep trying to post this link, it's not working, and you're like, oh gosh, you're such a dad when it comes to social media. But he's little selfie of hey, I finished, and I'm like, who are you, and why are you so wonderful? Right, and it was to raise money for was it mental illness or brain trauma or something of that nature for returning soldiers and things like that.
Yes.
So it was he did it for a good cause. He missed the MTV movie awards for it to support this other guy who was doing it, and I'm just that's Chris Pratt, he's got his priorities
stellar.
straight.
Just a stellar human.
Yep, and then if you look at the pictures, you get to see him running around shirtless. So it's really a win for everybody.
Really, there's no losers here, guys.
Aside from maybe MTV, but other than that,
no, they had other people there. It was fine. They're fine.
It'll be fine. But Chris Pratt is always kind of the star of the show.
Yeah, that's true.
When it comes down to it.
When it comes to us.
Was it? Yeah. Oh, no. I was thinking, wait, was it at the MTV Awards where Madonna kissed Drake? But no, that was Coachella. Ugh.
Yeah, why are people freaking out about that? She kisses everybody.
She does. She kisses everybody.
She kissed Britney Spears.
Yeah, and
10 years ago.
And,
yeah,
it's just what she does.
Whatever. I'm it's just Madonna. Be like, oh my god, she kissed Drake. I'm it was a man. She kissed a man. She usually kisses, who knows what she kisses. Next time it's going to be a goat. People are like, oh my god, she kissed a goat.
She did what?
And we'll be like, she did what? Maybe I actually wouldn't even be surprised if she kissed, I don't know why she would be kissing a goat. That was just a weird example.
But goats. Nice.
I'm you guys, it's just Madonna being Madonna. Yeah. That would have been oh my gosh, she went to the grocery store and bought tomatoes. What? That's a thing that she does.
Yeah, it's trying to, relive the shock value of Madonna 30 years ago. Once upon a time, her doing this kind of stuff was nobody's doing this. What? And now it's
yeah.
Okay.
And she's been doing it forever, so cool your jets, y'all.
Yeah. Calm down.
Not to say Madonna isn't wonderful and amazing. I'm just saying this isn't something to create a big hoopla over.
Yeah. But she wants everyone to. Realistically, it's just...
Okay. Well, sorry that I'm not creating a hoopla for your boringness. I don't know. What's just become part of you is no longer shocking. It's just expected. Exactly. If she didn't kiss Drake, I would have been I can't believe she didn't kiss Drake.
Just all the headlines. Madonna does not kiss Drake.
Not kiss Drake. That would be more shocking.
Coachella fans riot.
Madonna goes to soccer game and does nothing. You're okay. What?
Sorry, there's all of a sudden a weird noise happening, but it's just leaf blowers. But it sounded since I have headphones in, it sounded like it was in my house. It's chainsaw! Okay. But yeah, good job, Chris Pratt. We love you.
We love you, dude.
Keeping
it real.
Keep doing you.
Keep being you.
Ant-Man trailer.
Okay. I love everything about it.
Yeah.
It's just so wonderful, and it looks so fun.
Right?
The first trailer, I was
in.
They didn't. The first trailer they didn't show you a whole lot.
Yeah.
But then, and they keep having these. I don't know. Paul Rudd is just nailing it. I feel so. Even in the last trailer when Michael Douglas was "You're gonna be Ant-Man," he's so can we change the name or no? Okay. And then in this one, he's I'm not gonna rob and steal things. He's so what do you want me to do? He's I want you to rob and steal whatever.
Break in and steal things.
Oh, okay, great. I don't know. It's just this great sense of humor and.
Paul Rudd, I think, has, over his career, and I saw someone ask recently, why hasn't Paul Rudd always been, a leading man in things, which is, it's a valid question. I don't understand, outside of the Judd Apatow realm, he was never really a leading man, post Clueless.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like he's like over the years he's just been like working, grinding, and he's got good comic timing. He's like a funny guy in general. But, you know, I think like he can act, he can do emotion and things like that. And so seeing him get to like lead a movie like this is exciting because it feels like this is what we've been waiting for. Like since we were, you know, 9 years old watching Clueless or whatever and being like, swoon. We were like, we hope we don't see Paul Rudd sporadically. And then we did. And now we get to see this. It feels good. And the movie looks so fun.
So fun. And I was a little apprehensive. I mean, fair. I don't know why. I wasn't a big, you know, wasn't like, hey, Ant-Man, like, what is that going to be? Right. But it just looks fun, really fun. So once again, Marvel, you're doing a great job. So I feel like this is kind of boring that we keep saying this over and over. Now it's gonna be like Madonna soon. We're like, Marvel does great movies. We get it. Blah, blah, blah.
I will be a broken record forever, but Corey Stoll, I'm just so excited about him in this. Although I'm like, he's got to die in this, right? He's not going to be in the sequel. They have to get rid of him. But I'm excited to see him villain it up in this because he looks awesome and hardcore, he's like another one of those people who's just like, he's not necessarily in everything, but like when you see him, he steals it. Like, he's just gonna steal your show, whether that's Hemingway in Midnight in Paris or whatever his character was on House of Cards, Peter, I don't know, something like that. He's great, and so I'm stoked on Ant-Man. I think this trailer really like. Anywhere where I was maybe like, I don't know what to make of this.
Yeah.
I think I'm fully in.
I'm on board now.
Totally on board.
Into it.
So I'm stoked on that. And then as a result of another thing that I was maybe more apprehensive than Kristin was on Daredevil.
Yeah, I wasn't.
Yeah. No.
I liked the trailer. And even the teaser one where it was just from that second episode when he just like walked into that hallway, I was like, yup. Yep. Sign me up. I'm into it. I was like, I'm sorry. A blind superhero is amazing. So.
Indeed. And did you see that, like, there were all these articles that were like, you know, Daredevil having a blind superhero just points out that Netflix doesn't have any, like, accessibility for blind people on its site. So, like, you know how, I don't know if you've ever had this happen before. I've accidentally watched shows like this where you turn on the TV and you go to watch something and there's like a voice narrating like their movements, like so-and-so walks to the door, they open it, like things like that. And
I haven't, no.
This is a thing that they do for the blind. I can't remember what it's called, but it makes it so that you can like watch a show and know what's happening other than just like hearing the dialogue. So I've had this happen with Mindy Project once. I remember watching half an episode like that, thinking it was like some weird gimmick they were doing on it. I'm like, why are they narrating this?
What's happening? I didn't even know that was a thing.
Oh no, yeah. So that's a thing. Oh. And so Netflix was getting like criticized for this, and so I just saw an article today that was saying like now, as a response to sort of the pressure from that, they're actually now integrating that into Netflix. So not only is Daredevil awesome, but it just helped make
it accessible to more people.
Yeah, Netflix is more accessible as a result of it. So we have Mack, good
from
old
the
Mack
past.
Peterson, Mack from the past, here to discuss Daredevil and fanboy out with us. So let's take it to the past. Back in time. Welcome, Mack of the past.
Yay!
Thank you. Mack of the present.
Well, when this goes into the
podcast,
you'll be Mack of the past. So.
Never mind then. Yeah.
Yes. But current Mack of the present, Daredevil, just happened.
It did.
Initial thought when you first saw it, the first episode, were you like knee-jerk reaction?
Yeah.
Well, I think that Tom, who's my roommate, he really put it the best in the first episode, where we were just like, oh my gosh. It's so great that this doesn't suck. like we were just like, oh my gosh, it doesn't suck.
Yeah.
And that's all we could have asked for. You know?
That's all. That's it.
That's really sad that that's all you could have asked for.
Well, I mean, it's good. It's great. Like I love it.
I guess given the legacy of like the Daredevil movie and
Yeah.
the unknowns of creating a show like this, then yeah,
Right, I mean,
it
it
not
was pretty
sucking
much
is a relief.
it's the first time anything like this has happened, really. So it was, it could have gone either way.
Right.
But I thought it was great. I mean, I had high hopes for it. I thought it was going to be great.
Okay. And I should preface, by the way, we're going to try to be as spoiler-free as possible. So, like, when people died that you didn't want to see die, phrase it in a way that does not give it away for everyone. And also,
Okay.
Laddie has only watched the 5th episode, but that doesn't mean we can only talk that far.
Well, I've watched 1 through 5.
Right.
Didn't just watch the 5th one. That would be weird.
I said to the 5th episode.
Oh, that's right.
Kristin just picked a random episode and watched it.
Yeah.
Why not? Okay, so continuing on then. So
Okay.
then, for one thing, I absolutely loved it. Kristin, how are you feeling about this so far?
I super love it.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Really violent.
Really good. Yeah, and I actually do have to mute it a lot or watch between my fingers.
Yeah.
Sounds
because like
the
bones
sounds
breaking.
Yeah, and it's like in that like and the low, but like the gushy sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is really hard for me, but it's still so great. So I watch it anyway. And the fight scene, okay, and just everyone, and people have said it, so just wait, because at the end of not season 2, there's only one season.
Yeah.
Yeah. That fight scene is so good.
Yeah.
It's so good. I'm not giving anything away. It's so good.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah, I think that if the first episode didn't convince you to watch all of it, if you watch 1 and 2, then you're pretty much sucked in.
Yeah. Oh, for
I
sure.
agree wholeheartedly. So then, Mac, let's have your thoughts on this as a whole.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I love Daredevil. He's been a character that I really have gotten into like recently, like the past like couple years, because like I love Batman and I love Spider-Man. Like they were my 2 favorites as a kid, and I think I found like the perfect middle in Daredevil. He's pretty much like he's like the best of both.
Yeah.
And so I've been reading. So I've read quite a bit, but not a lot. Not like pretty much like enough that I think that I can comment on the character.
How long has Daredevil been around?
A long time, like 75 years or something. Like,
75 years?
Well,
You're making
like
things up.
Well, here's the deal.
Isn't Stan Lee only like 75?
No, well.
No, he's a million. He's a million years old.
Daredevil's been around pretty much almost as long as Marvel's been around. I mean, yeah, he's pretty old.
Okay, fair enough.
But I mean, he's like not as old as the Fantastic Four.
Sure.
But
so it'd be pretty difficult for someone to really be like, I have read every Daredevil thing. I know all the Daredevil and everything.
I just meant that there's a lot that they used for this show that I haven't read.
Okay.
Like this is sort of blasphemy for me to say, but like I haven't read a lot of the Bendis stuff, which is what most of this is based off of,
right?
Or inspired by, because like when I had the pick of the arc, I chose to read Ed Brubaker instead, because I like him as a writer more. But now I realize I should have read more of the Bendis stuff. I'm only saying all this just to sort of preface that, like, from what I've read and loved about the character, the show was super satisfying.
Okay,
like
great.
It touched a lot of notes. Like it hit a lot of sweet spots. You know?
Yeah. And this is like, I mean, I was talking to Mac about this last night. One of the things that's great about it is like, okay, Mac is like a huge fan of Daredevil, and so like this was hitting all the right notes. And then for like you and I, Kristin, like we didn't really have to have much background to this to have like to just find it super badass and fun to watch. And like, I don't know, can we just like for a second appreciate Foggy?
Yeah.
Oh,
like
I love him so much.
Someone on Facebook yesterday was like, I need a supercut of Daredevil without Foggy, so that would be a good show. And I was like,
False.
What?
That person is a dummy.
I think a lot of I think it's possible for a lot of people to not feel like see the appeal in Foggy immediately, like just kind of to brush him off as like unnecessary comic relief in such a dark show.
Sure.
But he is great, and he really embodies what Foggy is in the comics to Matt, which I thought was great. Like that was the best part, is that they kept their relationship there. They're like their duo. They're really a team.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. And so, like, what are some of the highlights for you
of the show?
Daredevil? Yeah.
Up to episode 5. I'm just
Well,
kidding.
and it can be sort of
Vague.
as long as it's
Big
not
highlights.
like when so and so died, you know.
Oh,
But highlights overall.
well, okay. I think one of the highlights, just in general, is that I thought it was like really well cast. Like more than just like they had like it's like the perfect balance of actors that look like the characters and were good actors.
Right.
And so I think like that was just something that I was just like marveling at the entire show.
Right.
It was just that like how like even like potentially one that you would assume wouldn't be as accurate would be like Ben Urich, who in the comics is white, but the actor who played him like just like embodied the character so well.
Sure.
Which I really liked. And Karen Page, like I thought that was another really brilliant casting choice. Because she's such a complicated character in the comics. She's gone through a lot of really messed up stuff.
Yeah,
and I think
can you just, I think you should inform, because last night I heard the bad news about Karen.
Do you want me to tell?
Yeah.
You want me to say it? Okay, so...
What?
Like,
say what?
all right, well, if you really want to know... okay, everybody should go...
Yeah.
Everyone should go read Daredevil Born Again, which is this Frank Miller run. And in it, he brings back Karen Page, who was a vintage Daredevil character, like part of the original cast, you know, as like the like secretary at Nelson and Murdoch in their initial, you know, conception or whatever. But he brought her back in the 80s as a heroin-addicted porn star. So buckle up for that. Season 2.
Oh God, I want that to be like, maybe that can be her past or whatever.
No.
I just don't want her to like fall into it now. I love her too much.
I don't want it to happen either. I'm being mostly sarcastic, but she did like
that would be traumatic.
Past. Yeah. She did reference her dark past a lot.
Yeah, that's the thing. You know something's going on.
She's there's something there, and that's what I was thinking. That actress did a really good job with that.
I love her in general, Deborah Ann Wall. She's just wonderful.
Yeah.
People keep saying that. I don't know who she is.
You never watched True Blood, right?
Oh, no.
Yeah. So dismissive. No. Okay. She was great on that.
But Matt, I think
so good.
Yeah, I think that he really did it for me.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking last night, Corgan, about how Matt Murdock is now the sexiest superhero in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Mm-hmm. And I agree. I mean, like...
we went through them all last night just to make sure, just to check, you know.
Yeah.
Tony Stark, and Thor, and everybody, and yeah, it's him.
Well, because you hit all the points that he pulled off about Matt Murdock, where it's like he's strong and sensitive and vulnerable and, you know, mysterious. Like he's got all these things working for him.
Yeah. He's never got all the cards on the table, but somehow it's okay. Like,
I know. Yeah. You feel that he'll be able to do it. You know, even though he's just like a guy with 2 sticks. What's going on? A blind guy.
A blind guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. I don't know. He's perfect. And seeing it, you know, a guy that you see be super badass and then also cry is, you know.
Yeah.
They've figured this one out.
I love the crying scene. That was a great scene.
So many feels.
Many feels. All the feels. There's so many feels in this whole show.
Oh my gosh.
That's what I wanted to say. Like,
yeah.
I just love how this show is so hardcore, and it's not because I'm like, yeah, metal, I love like hardcore stuff, like bring back the 90s. Like, it's not like that. I'm just saying like I love how most of the Marvel Cinematic Universe up until this point has been pretty tame, you know, PG-13. Like, you never really see a lot of blood or a lot of violence. Right. And I just loved how, like, okay, we don't really see it, but it can still happen in that world, and here's Daredevil, and here's how hardcore he is, and, like, here's what he's going through, and it is the real world, so he's getting his butt kicked all the time, and there's like lots of really brutal stuff, and we're going to show it because it's there.
Yeah.
And then, like I was telling Tom the whole time when I was watching it, like, all right, well, like they can do Punisher now. Like it's not like this is any more any less violent than a Punisher TV show would be.
Sure. And you said they're doing like 4 of these series on Netflix, right?
Yeah. So this is the first one. The second one is going to be AKA Jessica Jones.
Right. And that's with
Kristen Ritter.
Yeah.
Huh.
And that's based off of a comic called Alias that's also written by Brian Michael Bendis about a former superhero named Jewel turned private investigator, Jessica Jones, and she helps out people, and she, does like, I don't know if it's like superhero based private investigation, but probably something like that.
Okay.
And then Luke Cage is the third one,
right.
Power Man. Not really Power Man. I hope I'm not going to call him that, but Luke Cage.
And we determined that's that guy from The Good Wife who plays Lamont Bishop, but I can't remember what his name is.
Yeah.
That's what I called Scott Bakula in Quantum Leap Power Man.
That's right. We had a whole conversation about that.
I'm like, what? Do you know Quantum Leap one? Are they rebooting it? I'm so excited.
No, it's not like that. It's because Luke Cage was a character invented in the 70s as a response to like blaxploitation. So he was supposed to be like Black Power Man, but they couldn't call him that. Yeah.
Awesome.
And then Iron Fist is the third one, who's like Luke Cage's best friend, Danny Rand. This, in my opinion, the second best martial artist in the Marvel universe.
How do you rank that?
Yeah, how do you rank that?
Very carefully and with a lot of detail and love.
Right, sorry.
Yeah.
He has charts, graphs.
Of course, I know. I kind of feel like it might look like a serial killer wall. He has like the red yarn tied between things.
It's not like that. It's like a notepad thing on my phone.
Oh, okay.
But
that's actually a little disappointing. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, it goes a lot of like, okay, Marvel's best martial artists is something that you have to break down more just on like their scale and what they can do, but also just like what they represent. And like, it's sort of like what I mean is like, how the Flash is faster than Superman because he has to be, because if he wasn't, then what's the point of the Flash?
Right. Yeah.
Like it's like that for certain characters in Marvel too, where it's like there's Iron Fist, but then there's also Shang-Chi, the master of Kung Fu. And like that's literally the name of his comic. So if he's not the master of Kung Fu, then there's not really any point to him. Right. Yeah.
Okay, I get that. That actually makes sense. Believe it or not.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, and like it's the same. It's the same in the DC universe, because like in the DC universe, the best martial artist is Karate Kid from the Legion of Superheroes, because he was such an amazing martial artist that the Legion of Superheroes, a team of superheroes in the 31st century, accepted him into their team based solely on how good he was at martial arts.
So he has no like powers or anything like that. He's just like really good at karate.
He's just so good at karate that like this interplanetary super police force accepted him into their ranks on those grounds alone. So that's why I think he's the number one there. But this is a tangent. We should move on. Talking more about Daredevil.
Sorry, more about Daredevil. Okay, so, well then, what do you want to talk about with Daredevil? I know you have points that you want to bring into this discussion. I don't want to squelch that.
Yeah, I had some prepared, but I'm having a hard time thinking about them because I'm so distracted by thinking about Daredevil.
Wait, so Daredevil's distracting you from your thoughts about Daredevil?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? Okay.
I guess I'll just jump into it. Like,
jump in. Like, let's just talk about it, man.
All right. So, I think a TV like the thing about adapting a comic book, in my opinion, is I really look for the characters they pick to represent the main cast, and I feel like superheroes comic books, what they offer that I think is really great is most of the time a really great supporting cast of characters. And for the first season of Daredevil, I think that it just touched on all the right notes to include from the comic book. Like, you have Foggy, and you have Karen, and you have, like, Ben Urich. Like, those would be my three, like, you need to have them there. Right. And they were there. And then we have Kingpin, and we have the Owl, and we have a bunch of other characters I won't say because it's, a spoiler. But,
okay.
Yeah. But it's pretty great. And I was actually looking up a bunch of like Easter eggs this morning so I could be prepared. So
Oh.
I know every Easter egg now in
Oh,
Daredevil.
wow, do you?
Yeah, if you want to
Okay.
know them.
Well, like, yeah, let's talk about some of these from maybe the first few episodes, or any of them really that just don't like give anything away,
Okay. Well,
which
for
I'm sure
example,
they wouldn't by nature
Yeah,
of being
Easter
an Easter
eggs
egg.
usually don't. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're usually just.
an example is for the Nelson and Murdoch building, the office across the hallway is called Atlas.
Hmm.
Atlas Comics was the company before they changed the name to Marvel Comics. Um,
Whoa.
uh,
Jeez, demon out, Lord. That
uh,
was like frightening. I thought your head was gonna explode for a second.
I
Yeah.
felt like it. I'm sorry.
Okay,
we
Atlas.
want,
Yep.
yeah, we wouldn't
All
want
right.
that. What else? Oh, well, like a really simple one is like his black costume is pretty much straight from Daredevil: Man Without Fear, which is another Frank Miller miniseries that talks about the like Daredevil's origins. It's sort of like a Daredevil Year One, which is what this show was in a lot of ways.
Nice.
What else? Oh, like they talk about how Foggy met Matt in college, which is true. They were college roommates, and they reference a girl he dated, which was Elektra. He dated Elektra in college, so it's like they set up
Get
for
psyched,
that.
Kristin. Get psyched.
So if they do season 2 and they bring in Elektra, something that will be really cool about their dynamic is that they already know each other, which is straight
Yeah.
out of comic books.
That's pretty cool.
So that would be cool for them to pretty much, and they already know that they know that they both know like martial arts and stuff. So there's no like secrets between them about
Okay.
like their past or anything, except for like Elektra. I don't think revealing that she's like a ninja assassin or anything, but
That
just
didn't come up.
she can hold her own. Like they like did like a parkour date or something in the comics, you know,
Awesome.
and back in college.
Although this is another one of those weird moments, we discussed this as well, that like their college flashback like looks like a How I Met Your Mother college flashback, and then Mack pointed out it said 2010 on it. It's like, wait, what? He's supposed to be like 2 years younger than we are in this, for one thing, and
well, both the actors are like what, like 37 and like 32 or something like that. Yeah, so it's kind of weird, or 35, I think.
something like that. I mean, Eldon Henson was in like Freak the Mighty when we were kids, right? And he was way older.
They're old. They're old. Freaking old. No,
They're
but
ancient. They're in
Whoa,
their 30s.
let's just
Might
be
as well.
careful. Let's just be careful there, Mac. Just pump your brakes for
too
1
old.
second.
Like I don't even know what I even like thought about casting people so old.
Okay, well, we're going to be done with this interview now because you're just rude. You're being
Insensitive. Well, but that was like a weird
ageism is what it is.
So what,
I won't have it on my show. Just kidding.
No. But one thing I was going to say is I think the Marvel Universe doesn't take place in 2015. I think it takes place in the future. Like I'm pretty sure that it's like at least a couple years into the future. Because if you just look at like say for example, like, you know, Iron Man took place in the year it came out. I don't even think it did. I think it took place I think the first, I don't know. I'd have to look into it, but
yeah, but that's a good point. I hadn't actually thought about that.
Yeah, I think the Marvel Universe might be at least a couple years into the future. That being said, if they were in college 5 years ago, it might not have been in college. It might have just been when they were in law school.
True.
But who knows? I mean, it still makes them a little bit too young than you'd think they'd be playing. But they could pull it off. I mean, they both look pretty young, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
For their, you know,
for their advanced age.
For their
for how old they are.
For their chronic aging syndrome. But
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So what else did you want to talk about Daredevil?
One thing I really wanted to touch on was just how brilliant they treated the flashbacks for Matt with Jack Murdoch and being raised as like the son of a boxer and all that. Like that just felt like the comic book like just brought to life. I mean, the whole show did.
Yeah.
But because you don't really see him suit up for most of it, it sort of felt like the Daredevil show without Daredevil for a long time. But those flashbacks are just like so spot on with like the gym and just like the way that Jack treated Matt, and it wasn't even like with a lot of hostility, and he was just like such a good father, even though he was coming from not very good means or whatever, and they struggled with money, and he struggled with his job as a fighter. I thought that was great, and I thought that guy did a great job. The guy who played the dad,
he was
Yeah,
incredible,
I agree.
unsung hero
Really
of
good.
that
yeah,
show.
he deserves
And also,
attention.
yeah, and the other thing too is like you haven't gotten there yet, Kristen, but in my favorite episode of it, it's like contrasting that backstory with then Kingpin and like his dad and that whole
Yeah,
thing, and the kid who plays him is great, and his dad is also great in that. I mean, I just like that actor a lot. Um,
is it? Yeah,
oh, I was just gonna say like the contrasting like the ways they grew up and the backgrounds that they came from and everything is
right.
really interesting too.
And how similar they are
Yeah.
too. They're so different. Like one thing I loved was that in both flashbacks, you see each character have their first drink,
Hmm.
and it was given to them by their dad,
Right.
but under totally different circumstances,
Yeah.
which I thought was really like pretty much like the most straightforward, analogy you could have about the two of them and
Yeah,
their and
totally. And then, this all comes out to them growing up to, in different ways, be very ragey human beings, but
yeah,
channeling
yeah,
it
yeah.
in different ways. So yeah,
Oh,
yeah, go ahead.
one other thing I found out that I thought was super cool was like probably a big complaint would be, I'm sorry, did I cut you off? Did you want to finish saying that or okay.
No.
All right, good, good. Phew, thank God. All right. So listen to this. So like most people would be really upset probably about leaving out Elektra if they had to complain because people are used to like the CW superhero type pacing where it's like
Right.
episode 2 and they've already formed the Justice League. Um but leaving out Elektra and then Bullseye, who's pretty much like Daredevil's main like villain other than Kingpin.
Right.
It's like the one villain that like Daredevil like fights all the time. Like it's pretty much like his mirror villain.
Hmm.
But he was left out, but he might not have been left out because there's a scene in the show where Kingpin has to hire a sniper. Do you remember that part?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, in the sniper's duffel bag is a deck of playing cards. And Bullseye is known in the comic books for using playing cards to kill people by throwing them and stuff like that. So that sniper could have been Bullseye, but just you didn't see him because he's in a mask.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a good little hidden nugget right there.
Yeah, I was super stoked to hear that because I totally missed that. I felt
Yeah.
bad, but I totally missed that.
Well, that's people have to be watching like so intently to find those things. I feel like with this show, like I would rather like at least the first time through just be watching it and like being a part of the universe as opposed to trying to figure out like what's going
Who's
on.
who
Who's
and
who
what's
and what
gonna
are the
happen
hints and
next.
clues that are in it. Like it's so immersive and it's so easy to get lost in this show that's like meh. Maybe the fourth time around, I'll look for playing cards in people's duffel bags.
Exactly. Like Tom and I were watching it, and we were like, "Did you catch what they just said?" No. We watched episode 1 and 2 at midnight on Thursday, and then we watched 3 through 10 on Friday, so the day it came out. And there was parts where we're just like they're doing like lawyer talk and stuff, like they're doing like all their lawyer jargon.
Yeah.
And we're like, did they just give something away? Like, was there a plot in that? Like, I don't remember. We're just gonna have to see how it plays out. Like, to focus, because when you watch that many in a row, it just like totally bleeds together.
Yeah.
But it was in a good way. I mean, it was great.
Right.
But it still felt like I was kind of choking on Daredevil.
Yeah. Well, and you said it was like kind of like watching just like a really long movie.
Yeah, yeah, just like never stopped.
Yeah.
But still great. Also, like I think I had a really hard time registering the show as I was watching it, but just because like the entire time I was watching it, I was like, this can't be real. Like this show is so like how is this even happening that I'm watching this like 13 episode Netflix produced Daredevil TV show that's in canon with the Avengers. Like it just feels like so bizarre. I mean, I talk about that all the time with Tom about just like how like the concept of the Avengers even being a franchise is just like so crazy. Like mapping my mind around it, and so I actually had that problem a lot. Like watching it and being like, okay, this is cool. Holy crap, that's Daredevil. Just, like, especially with like the parts with Night Nurse, or I mean Claire. Rosario Dawson. She just like them talking. I'm like, like, man, that guy's really beat up. That guy's blind. That guy's Daredevil. it just went like that. So but I still loved it. But that being said, I do need to watch it again because I did have a really hard time just like grasping a lot of the subtleties.
Yeah, definitely.
Other than like the obvious, just sort of like brilliance of the plot and its development, and how it treated characters, and it really took its time. Like that's the best part about it is the pacing. Like I was telling Tom that it was like super well paced. Basically, it was a 13-episode pilot for the rest for the rest of the show. like look at this crazy amount of work and finesse that we're putting into Daredevil's and Kingpin's origin story. Complete with like how much thought they put into how his costume gets made and all that. Like it was all like even stuff that might have been like sort of just thrown away. Things about like explaining stuff like how he gets his billy clubs and stuff, like the origin of those in the show, which I guess I won't give away because that might be a spoiler. Even though it was sort of just like a throwaway line, like why he uses them, it still felt like I bought it because of the world that they created and the way that they set it up. But there's one thing I didn't buy, and I'm pretty upset about it. But I don't know if I should bring it up.
I think it's okay.
You think it's okay?
I'm gonna say it's okay because it's like a 10-second spoiler of it. So I think.
But I'm kind of giving away. Okay, all right. You know what? All right. Okay. Spoiler. This is spoiler. They don't put a lot of care into the origin of his name, about why he's called Daredevil. That was pretty much the low of the entire series, in my opinion, was the way that they did that. But I'm pretty biased because I have a really big bias against superhero movies and stuff that use newspapers to name characters because it happens all the time. Right. It seems like nobody ever names themselves except for in the X-Men, is what you pointed out last night. And X-Men First Class, that was the worst scene in the entire movie when they all named themselves. So obviously it's like on opposite ends of the spectrum, and there's like a sweet spot in the middle that no one's really been able to grasp. Because it's like, in the Hulk, it's like the people in the news being like, he was some kind of incredible Hulk. Even though I make like, what's like Bruce Banner going to be like, I'll be the Hulk now. Like, I get that. Yeah. But like, even with Iron Man, where like at the end of the movie, there's a newspaper like, the Iron Man. Like, who's this Iron Man? He's like, I like being called Iron Man. It's like, come on. Anyway, so the newspaper names him Daredevil. And it's so lame because it would have taken literally 2 more seconds of the episode in order for just Matt Murdock to just say Daredevil, because a cop asks him like, what should I call you in my report, and he turns around, or he doesn't turn around. I wish he turned around. He just kept flipping away up this scaffolding, and then the next scene is Karen Page holding a newspaper, like, oh, Daredevil, like what a great name, like I love it, and everyone's like, yeah, Daredevil's great, and that's the end of this show. But it just so pissed me off because it would have just taken 2 seconds for Daredevil to turn around and be like, Daredevil, you can call me that, and then keep going, and then they're like, well, I don't get it. Why does he name himself? Like, okay, well, you have season 2 to figure out why he said that, but you don't need to stress about it now. Just don't write yourself into the corner of some anonymous guy named him Daredevil in an article about him. I think that's dumb.
Indeed. Okay, well, we're pretty much out of time, but any closing thoughts before?
I'm really, really excited about the franchise, about the rest of the show. I mean, like I said, it's a really great setup for the series, and because they're taking their time, it means that other characters can be handled with that much finesse, that much care. So yeah, I mean, that pretty much they knocked out of the park. They created a show. They created a show which is like the ultimate setup. Like they didn't cut any corners except for that one. They didn't try to like rush anything or like even really it didn't seem like they were even really trying to satisfy anyone but themselves creatively and the fans, which is like pretty much all you could ever ask for from something like that.
Yeah, Probably more things should have that as their focus.
Definitely. An example of the opposite of that is like Man of Steel.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I'm going to say about Man of Steel.
All right. Well, thank you, Mack.
Thank you guys so much.
Delightful to have you, as always.
Have a great rest of your episode.
Oh, will do.
Thank you.
Back to the future.
What? That was my future noise.
It was good. I liked it.
That was Mack. And us. Mack and me.
It was Mack and me and us.
And us. Whatever.
Mack and we.
Mack. I like that. That was Mack and we, everybody.
That's a new segment name for when Mack comes on.
Mack and we. I love it so much. Oh, it's my new favorite.
Oh, good. And so we hope you all enjoyed hearing some insights on that, getting a little insight into what else is happening in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and with Netflix and what they have coming up. I'm excited.
It's going to be good. I'm super excited.
Did you see, they also today released a picture of David Tennant in A.K.A. Jessica Jones.
I know. Well, see, I hadn't even heard of these other ones coming out, so... Right. And then when we talked with Mack, and then he was telling us, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And then right after that, Nerdist had posted, like, a shot of David Tennant. I'm like, David Tennant is going to be on one of these? Oh.
All right. Sold.
I was already excited by the way that, obviously, because Mack's, like, enthusiasm is contagious, so whatever he talks about, I'm like, yeah, okay, let's do that. I don't even know what we're talking about. Let's watch it. Okay, all those things. So even when he was talking about, I'm like, oh, those sound really cool. And so then... when I saw that, and then David Tennant was just icing on the cake. And I love Kristin Ritter. I think she's awesome. So, Anyway, it's going to be cool. So, exciting. Yeah. Great times.
So many good things on the horizon.
So many good things.
We are some excited fangirls.
We are. It's good to be us.
It's good to be us. And hopefully it's good to be all of you right now. We're thankful you're here. A ton of you listened to the Fast and Furious one last week, so... we're excited to have you, and we're excited you're excited about the things we're excited about.
Yes!
That's kind of the idea.
Huzzah!
Huzzah! Woohoo! So remember to tune in next week for Martin McCann. It's gonna be so much fun, you guys. It'll be great. Check
guys,
out...
if you really want to see Corey and I be completely ridiculous,
that's
this is probably a good episode to watch.
That is a game.
I can only imagine the embarrassing things we're going to stumble over when we try to say.
Yeah.
So
Editing it is going to be like a struggle because, you get that. Like, when I edit things, I just cringe at myself. I'm like, oh no. Oh, Corey, why? Why did you say that? Why did you give that look? What were you doing? Why'd you make that sound? This is my life every week.
Oh, man.
But, so stay tuned for that. Check out the blog on electricfeast.com. Make sure you subscribe to us on iTunes and Stitcher and YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. That sounds right. And wherever else you find us, if you find us somewhere, subscribe to us. Why not? Can't hurt.
No, it certainly
cannot. I think that about covers it. So
it does cover
episode 59 in the can, y'all. I'm Corrigan Vaughn.
Kristin Ritter.
Peace out, everybody.
Make good choices and pay your taxes.
Do that.
Robin Hood and Little John running through the forest.
And I thought I was going to break my ankle at one point.
Oh my god.
But I got him off. Yeah. But you're okay.
Can you imagine that story? So, doctor, exactly how did that happen?
That's the thought I had. Exactly. I was like, this can't happen. I can't break my ankle right now. I'm not going to break my ankle. Like, well, what happened was I dressed up for a Renaissance fair at my own apartment. And then in the dark, I was trying to get my boots off, and I couldn't, and I broke my ankle.